The 5th of May 2025. It's a fine day out. And I'm going to have a relatively short video here on a new wind farm. You know, it's a thing I have about why our electricity prices are so high and all of that sort of stuff. Now, before I start, one of the ideas of this channel is education. See it there, education. And I want to let you know what a euro bond is. Now, a bond is a piece of paper roughly this size, and it's embossed and made in fancy paper and a wee bit of gilding around the edge and all of that. And down the side here are coupons, usually 10 coupons. And if I am going to build, we'll say, a distillery here on the farm, and I want €1 billion, I issue this bond, there's my plan, and I let it go. Now, usually you'd raise that bond on the Irish market, you get a bank here to do it for you, and lenders or investment houses will give you the money, and every year you pay back the coupon, and at the end of the period you pay back the whole principal sum. You understand that? But a Eurobond only refers to euro because the first of them was issued in Italy. A Eurobond has nothing to do with the EU. A Eurobond is where somebody will say, here, like me, puts me thing forward and nobody wants it. And Iceland, a company in Iceland says, we'll invest. We'll give you the billion. Now, the lowest a Eurobond ever is, or any bond, is €500 million. So I'm going $1 billion and I give them this here. And every year they tear off a coupon and they send it to me and I must pay the interest. So the principal is not paid until the interest is all gone. And if it can be for various terms, it can be for 5, 8, 10, 20, 30 years. And depending on the period, there will be a number of coupons down the side. So if it's 25 years, there'll be 25 coupons. And they're serrated. You can tear them off. And you pay that. You must pay that every year. That's the way the markets work. Now, the reason I selected this one here, Coomacheo Wind Farm, to do the accounts of was, I've never covered it before. I've never had any dealings with it before, and I pick it because it's a new one to me. So we're going to look at what the situation is, but I can tell you that in 2019 I issued a dossier and I found that all Irish wind farms can never repay the capital cost. So if they got a bond to build them, if they got a bond to build a wind farm, they would be 25, they'll usually have a lifetime of 20 to 25 years, really don't last that long apparently, but that's the way it is. So there'll be 25 coupons on it here, and every year the wind farm company would have to pay the coupon. But at the end of the period, they have to pay the bond, the whole capital sum. Do you understand that? Now, we're going to look at this one. It's down in Cork. It's down in County Cork. Coomacheo Wind Accounts. So we're going to look at their accounts. I paid $250 for their accounts. Now, the problem, I can't really give these to people I don't know, because the only way I hold these is on email. And if I send my email to some of the blackguards that follows me here, they'll have my email, and then they'll trigger an avalanche of junk mail into my email, and my email will all clutter up. This is what to do. So unless I know somebody, or you write to me or that and I get to know you, I might send you the accounts. Otherwise I can't. You can buy them yourself for €2.50 off the CRO. So we're going to take a look at what the situation is. The directors are B. Kilcline, Kilcline, P. Cooley and M. Ryan, and the company secretary is B. O'Connor. The offices are at Leopardstown, Red Oak South, Leopardstown, Dublin 18, D18W688. D18W688 is their air code. And the bankers are Lloyds of London, and their auditors are Ernest and Young in Waterford. And very important, the registered number, I'll call it out to you here now and I'll make sure I get it right, is 339047. 339047, 339047. Read that? I'll give it to you in batches of 2. 339047. That's the number of their registered as a company. Now, there's 2 years here. When you get a set of accounts for 2024, you get the previous details on the previous year. Very good system, the financial accounting system. Now, in 2013, they produced 106 gigawatts. And in 2024, sorry, did I say 2013? 2023, 106. In 2024, 108 gigawatts. So if you want to figure that out and work it out, you can. The capacity of the wind farm is 81 megawatts. 81 megawatts out from 41 turbines. Okay, so that it's 2 million a piece they paid for them. So now, so in the business review, it says the directors have confidence because the parent company is SSE Electricity. So SSE is the ultimate owner. Now the profit and loss account is the position for the year. And in 2023, the revenue they took in, their turnover, was 8.6 million, but in 2024 it was 16 million. So that must be an increase in the what they get paid for due to the increase in the fuel price. They get the market price, which is the highest fuel in the mix. It's hard, they only produce marginally extra electricity, but they did produce a little extra, so it's not all that. So they did a bit better in that's just the money they took in. And the cost of sales was 5.3 million in both years. In other words, that's what the basic cost to sell your product is. So if you're one of the things that's in the cost of sales, if you're using a shoe shop, is be purchase returns. People bringing stuff back into you, defective shoes and things like that. Or if you're selling ice cream from a stall and you had a refrigerated outside or something like that, that might be a cost of sales. It has to be directly attributed to the product you're selling. Now, so that's it. So the cost of sales, and then there's the operating profit. It was only 3.3 million in 2023, and it went up to 10.7 million in 2024. So there was a big increase. You can get years like that anyway. Now, so there's financial costs. This must be the interest to pay on the borrowings, and it's 2.7 in 2003 and 2.1 in 2024. 2.7 in 2023 and 2.1 in 2024. So that would be probably the interest on the coupon that they would be paying on their loan. Okay, so that's it now. So profit before tax in 2023 was only 568,000, half a million in other words. But the following year it went way up to 8.6 million. So they had a good year there. And then they paid tax of 136,000 in 23, and they paid tax of 1.1 million in 24. And profit for the financial year, when all was done, in the case of 2023 they had 432,000 profit. In the case of 2024 they had 7.4 million. So they had a bit extra there the following year. So that gives you an idea of their financial situation. If I go to the balance sheet, that's the position, a snapshot, a photograph at the end of the year. The profit and loss account is the position for 1 year. The balance sheet then is their assets, what they have, what they owe, what they have to pay, what they're due in, and all of that. So I'll just look at the balance sheet and see what it says. Now, so at the bottom of the balance sheet is financed by, or capital and reserves, they sometimes call it. Now, I only went back 1 year. If I kept going back, I'd find out how their profit and loss account was for the last years. These people opened in 2008. They started this wind farm in 2008, started going. So, at the end of 2023, they were 23.6 million down. 23.6 million losses on their cumulative profit and loss accounts. In other words, if you took 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, at the year 23, there were 23.6 million in the red. Now remember, they made 8 something million in 2023, in 2024, so they improved. And that figure of in the red or deficit was down to 16.1 million. 16.1 million. Do you get that now? So there's for their situation. How can they ever pay back the capital cost? They paid all, and they're still 16 million down. So then shareholders' deficit, they call it that. There's only one share. It's only €1 share. €1 is the share. So there's still annoying. So how did they make this up? How did they square the fact that they can't pay the capital cost and no wind farm can? Well, the answer is that the parent company, SSE Electricity, has given them a capital contribution of €20 million. 20 million euros. Right? 20 million. And that improved the situation for them a bit. They got a gift. And I see no reference to any tax on it. I would have thought if you get a gift, you'd have to pay gift tax. But 20 million from the parent company, SSE. Now, I read the whole lot on going concern. A company has to be a going concern before it can trade. The financial statements are prepared on a going concern basis and supported by the provision of a letter of support from SSE. The company letter of support confirmed there are a group of companies. You see, Coomacheo is a part of the group of SSE. The group letter of support confirms that the group will provide to the 31st of December 2025, I have that right, where required, support. The directors are satisfied that the group has the ability to provide this support should it be required. In assessing the strength of the letter of support, so when SSE offers them a letter of support, they have to check it out. What have they? The directors considered the cash and cash equivalents balance of $1 billion on the 31st of March 2024 and the undrawn committed bank facilities of 2.75 billion maintained by the group. So it's not unusual for companies like Kingspan or Guinness's or any of them to borrow and issue a bond, although I don't know why they can't have enough money themselves to do their own expanding. That's the way I try to do it. I only borrow when I actually have to, and I manage to do it differently. That would be the way I do it, but this is the way they go on. So it includes a 1 billion expiring in February 2025. So they have to, that's up now today, expiring in 25. The directors have taken into account the group's credit rating and successful issuance of 1.1 billion in long-term funding on the 23rd and on 2023-24 financial years, being 750 million 8-year Eurobond. Now, I've explained the Eurobond. That's a bond issued in one country paid for by another country in the currency of the other country. Nothing to do with Europe at all. Eurobond at 4%. So that's 750 million at 4% in August 2023, and a 20-year-old €500 million, 500 million Eurobond at a coupon of 5.5%. So the SSE has to pay that money 4% and 5.5 every year on the coupon. You know the way I explained it to whoever loaned the money to them, and I don't know who that was, in January 2024. As well as taking into account the factors noted, the going concern conclusion is arrived at after applying stress testing for the group's cash flow and funding projections, including removal of proceeds from unconfirmed future divestments and a lot of stuff like that. So the point is that they've considered SSE capable of giving them a letter of support, and without the letter of support, how would they pay the capital cost? They couldn't. Whoever gives them the money would probably never. Well, I can't see how they get it back anyway. Now remember, these assets was 81 million, and they've depreciated them in 2023 to the tune of 2.5 million, and again in 2024 2.5 million. So you can see that they take that off. That's depreciation. You have to depreciate your machinery. We do it for farming and all that, usually 8 or 9 years, but for windmills they can do it 25 years, and it's not a very good system because they depreciate a lot. So they are writing down the value of the wind farms in their books. So within 1 year, according to the balance sheet, they owed in 2023 4.1 million, and in 2024 1.5 million. So then total assets less current liabilities, 31,708 at the end of 2024. So this is, they have depreciated down their equipment and they have valued them now at 31,708, whereas they were 81 at the beginning of 2008. So that's really only a book exercise in many ways. But anyway, it has to be done. It's taken off the profit and loss account. Now, we look here now, trade and other payables falling due more than 1 year. So 21.6 million. It was 50 million in 2023. And now it's down to 21.6. Now, they got a 20 million bailout, but I don't know where the other 8 or 9 came from. There seems to be other money given out to the company, or they borrowed it, or they did something. But just to explain to you there, there was 50.2 million was what they had owed on everything over 1 year, and it came down to 21.6. So they got a 20 million bailout. I'm not sure where the rest of this payoff came from. And there's other stuff there that I'll not bore you with. So then we look at capital and reserves. This is how is it financed. Called up share capital is only one share. One worth €1. And they pay no dividend, but there's no shareholders anyway. So then capital contribution given, a handout, a bailout, 20 million was given. And we don't know, they may have got several bailouts before. The ESB gave the Derrybrain Wind Farm in Galway, that's the Gort Wind Farm, in 2018, 110 million of a bailout. 110 million of a bailout from our electricity bills. So they give them a 20 million in this 2-year period. They give them nothing the year before. I don't know what they gave them before that. And then there's the profit and loss account. The profit and loss account was 23 million in the red, and they improved a bit this year with the high oil prices. It got a wee bit more generation, and it's down to 16.1. So the question then is, if after all these years, they're now in business, 2006, isn't it 17 years? 2008, 2018, 17 years. If after 17 years they're not making any money, how could they ever pay back their capital sum? They have been paying a little tax. But remember, the tax is on the profit. So if you inherited a farm free, we'd say, that's why they're out in England trying to stop this, you have no capital sum to pay off. So you'd be taxed on your profits and loss in the year. If you have to pay back the cost of the farm, you do not get tax allowance on that. You only get tax allowance on the interest. So if you borrow to buy the farm and you trade away and you pay your interest and you still have a profit, you are taxed somewhat. And that's what happens here. If you don't pay back the capital cost, which isn't taxable, these people pay their interest and everything else. And although they're away down here, they still owe a little bit of tax. Now, if you take these 2 years again and look at the simple income statement and they paid a bit of tax, in 2023 they made a profit of 432,000, and in 2024 they made a profit of 7.4 million. But yet when you go to the retained profits, what they were receiving down the way, and some of the taxation accounting is deferred. If you have a really good year and you're expecting a bad year next year, you can defer the tax. There's no point paying it and claiming it back. Do you understand? That often happens. That's quite okay. So you see, these 2 years had a small profit. And here at note 15, it says at the first, profit and loss reserve. So if the profit and loss reserve, you accumulate your profit and losses. So what to say here, at the 1st of April 2023, they were minus 23 million, minus 23.6 million. That's here on note 15. They made a profit this particular year, 2024, of 7.497 million, 7.5 million. So they had a good year there. But when you go to the end of the March 2024 and add it all up, accumulated, they're still down 16.1 million since 2008. So they're not making money. They are not able to pay off their capital cost. They're paying off the coupon on their loan, and they're not able to pay the principal. They get this forgiven. So therefore, SSE Electricity, who itself has heavily borrowed, has to put it on the bill of the consumer. Bord Gáis appears not to have these windmills. They should be cheaper. I'm with them for this place here, for the farm. So, you get the point now? Do you understand that? They can never. This is just confirming everything I've seen with up to 40 accounts of wind farms in Ireland and the UK. None of them can pay off their capital cost. There's a swindle involved where they load the whole lot onto the bill payer. And so the bills are going up and up. One chap who works in Dublin told me that in one place in a flat where there's a meter for each person, a flat, it's 70 cent a unit. That is unbelievable. 70 cent for a kilowatt hour. So we're going to get this more. Now remember, we're going to build more and more wind farms, and they never can pay their capital cost. Now, hopefully people understand that, and I'm going to do another video again just to try and make sure that, because it's not easy to deal with this number crunching, another one of this, because this is a wind farm I never looked at before, and the result is the same. We'll see you back. Comment underneath. Thank you, and there'll be another video following this.